Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out.
Joined by myself, Joe Leigh. We're going to be talking about the DAZN Matchroom lineup, the talent lineup. Danny, how are you?
Yeah, well, good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Good. I'm looking forward to doing this. Obviously, been a bit of controversy around some of them, but as always, we're here to have a good little debate. So, looking forward to it.
Well, yeah, let's hope we don't agree on everything.
We usually don't.
Who have we got first up?
Let's start from left to right. So we'll start with Darren Barker, Chris Lloyd. They've obviously been on the team for a while now. They're going to be doing, I believe, the pre-match stuff as they have been. I think they're a good team. You can start things off and give them a little rating or something like that.
Do we judge them as a pair now? I guess we do, like Ant and Dec. Darren and Chris.
All of the banners, they're sort of looking at each other. They've got Darren's got his arm around him on one of them.
Oh,
when they mention each other, it's never a Chris Lloyd and a Darren Barker. It's literally Chris Lloyd and Darren Barker, together.
So yeah, just like Ant and Dec. See, it turns out to be the raging alcoholic or whatever, but maybe they both already are. I don't know. Last time we saw Darren Barker, wasn't he getting off the bus early to go to the pub? After the launch.
That was quick, Danny. That was quick.
Thanks. So was Barker, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I've been friends with Darren for a long time, actually. We used to go to the same barber, although you probably wouldn't be able to tell, in East Barnet years and years ago. Really good guy, obviously. Been there, done it. Former world champion, seen it all. But quite kind of plain speaking as well. I think that's the key to his popularity. He doesn't try and impress people by loads of kind of boxing jargon. And I think if the aim is to attract a more casual audience, it's not a bad thing to have someone like him. And then Chris Lloyd, very experienced, presenter and interviewer, funny, works well with Barker. I think they've got a really nice kind of relationship, both on and off camera. I think that was probably the most predictable part of the lineup.
Yeah.
They're already doing so much work with Matchroom. 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think Eddie's really big on Chris Lloyd. He sort of said that he thinks he's sort of like the second coming of Mike Costello, and in the next however many years, when Mike Costello eventually leaves the sport, then Chris Lloyd's going to be the one to take over. I think it should be Chris and Darren take over, do it together. I haven't yet seen much of them without each other, but I know together they have a good bond, they have a good partnership, and it does work well. I don't think, as you were saying, he's kind of like a bit boring. How were you describing Darren at times?
Just more kind of plain speaking. He doesn't try and kind of use too much boxing terminology.
I think that's good though, because what Matchroom are trying to do with DAZN especially is grab that casual audience in, people who don't necessarily know too much right now. And I think they're good for that, because they sort of dumb it down for the people who don't know, for the football fans, that come over after the Chelsea game, watch a bit of pre-match content. They're perfect for that, in grabbing that new audience in. So I kind of like that. I'm going to, did you give him 8? I guess I'll give him an 8.5. I'll give him a 9 then. I'll give him a 9 because I think
points. We're getting half points.
Right, okay. Just a little bit better than what you've said so far. But Laura Woods, I think you'll probably rate her a bit higher, not because she's an Arsenal fan and I'm a Spurs fan. It's nothing to do with that, all right? But I think
lately is.
I think what it is Maya Jama, which we'll go on to. She has a massive audience, and although she doesn't know too much about boxing, she's going to bring through loads of people. Whereas with Laura Woods, she's done boxing and she does a bit of boxing on Talk Sport, but I don't see as much her bringing as much to the table as the other people do. And if she doesn't know as much about boxing, I know she doesn't need to, because she's doing more of a presenting role. I sort of think there could have been better women in that know more about boxing instead of her. Now, I know she's done work with Matchroom before. I watched her welcome video. I think she's done darts and something else. But for me, I think it's just the boxing knowledge could be a little bit better. She hasn't done too much of it before. I know Maya Jama hasn't, but we'll get onto that. I'm going to rate that one a 6.
I think I'd probably go along with you. I think the thing with Laura Woods, right? So I think she's really good at what she does. I've seen her doing football and other bits and pieces. Very good on social media as well. Very engaging, interacts with a lot of people on social media, which is always a good thing. but yeah, I mean, not obviously not a boxing expert, but has dabbled in boxing, which I think the criticism you said about there's other female broadcasters with a better boxing knowledge base. Completely agree with that, and I think that's a bit of a knock you could give against both her and Maya
Yeah,
Jama. If you're only going to hire two women for your talent lineup,
at
least one of them should be someone who's got a track record in the sport, I would think. And there's so many women I know in the sport. You know, we've got Ali Drew does some work for us, but there's others as well. You know, Lydia who works for Fight Network or Empire now,
yeah.
and some of the others out there. I'm going to miss people out, obviously, but you know, there's people that work so hard to get a foothold in the industry, and it's a shame none of those women have been given a chance. But Laura Woods, consummate professional, very good at what she does, and yeah, 6 for me as well.
Yeah, she is really good at what she does. But if you look at the lineup, there's 7 people in the lineup. 5 people you look at and say no boxing, they're boxing people, and then the 2 that aren't are women. And I don't want it to sound as if it's not a sexist at all. It's just a fact. But you could have at least had one of them at least knowing and being in the sport, you know, as a professional, more than just on TalkSport for a couple of years, or not even that, just actually being involved in boxing more than Laura Woods has been. But yeah, that's the only criticism of that one. I don't think she's going to do a bad job, but I think 6 is a solid score, and that's probably what she deserves at the moment. But yeah, let's go on to Maya Jama. I'll let you kick this one off.
Yeah. I'm not a Maya Jama expert. I'll fully admit I'm not sure my age range is the one that she's been brought in to appeal to, or my kind of demographic as a hardcore boxing fan. But
this is going to be interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's obviously got a huge profile. She's a talented and experienced presenter, and if that's her main role, you don't have to be a boxing person to present a boxing program. You know, if she's going to be the kind of key coordinator holding all the different elements and different strands together, she's got a certain cachet. She's, you know, cool with a younger audience. She's got that kind of music background as well. I understand it completely. I'm not a massive fan of it on a personal level because she doesn't do anything for me in terms of watching a boxing show.
Yeah.
But I understand why she's been brought in. I don't know how successful her name recognition and fan base will be in terms of converting casual followers onto DAZN. But I do know that that's a key thing they need to do because they haven't got the touch points that Sky Sports has.
Yeah.
And so they need a way to engage that kind of floating casual audience. And I'm not guessing, it's obvious that she's been brought in as a big part of that objective.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I think probably another 6, because although she hasn't got the knowledge Laura Woods has got, she appeals in a different way, which is what you said about the audience that she brings. So I think you know what she lacks compared to Laura, she gains in other areas.
Yeah, I think for people who don't like the signing, and even for yourself in a kind of sort of to reflect, it's 2021. It's not always about who knows the most anymore. It's about who brings in numbers. Everything in life is about numbers these days, and especially on DAZN, it's a streaming platform that appeals more to them than like 2 people fighting two of the best now doesn't necessarily mean good for DAZN, good for Matchroom. It's 2 who sell the most. That's kind of always been the case, but more now than ever. And I think she will do more for the sport than a lot of people realize. I think although she doesn't know boxing, we've brought this one up, but she doesn't really need to know too much. I actually think it's a really good signing. My head is saying, don't be stupid. Give her kind of 8. My heart's saying 9 because I think I am the target audience. Let's not shy away from that. I'm 20 years old, and a lot of people these days that watch boxing are like, for example, my friends and people who I know in the industry that are kind of around my age. We probably have 2 people maximum that actually know boxing and even know about this lineup. And they probably know more about this lineup because of Maya Jama. I am probably the target audience for this. And I feel like having her there, seeing her, I don't know if she's going to be presenting the AJ fights because it's not going to be on DAZN.
I think they'll be on Sky Sports.
But just other fights in general, grabbing those people is going to be helped a lot by the likes of Maya Jama. And I feel like just knowing someone that you actually are fond with, that you think's funny. She's a celebrity. She's not just a personality. She does numbers, whatever she does. She's done a lot of presenting as well. She's experienced. She's good at what she does. And I honestly think it's a really good signing. Like I said, I'm gonna put myself out on a limb here and say 9. Although it might sound a bit crazy at the moment, I think she's gonna do well. I think she's gonna do well with Matchroom and DAZN.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Wow,
Yeah.
9.
Yeah. Tony Bellew.
Oh.
I think I've shocked
Right,
you
so
there. Tony Bellew, yeah, let's go.
Right, so it's hard to judge Tony Bellew on his own, right? So I'm going to kind of collectivize him, if that's even the right word, with Andy Leigh. And I think they're both incredibly knowledgeable, and I probably prefer Leigh as a pundit, but I think they're both very knowledgeable. But the problem I have with having those two guys as your pundits, and it's like there's the person who does the commentary alongside Mike Costello, who obviously we're going to come to. There's traditionally known across sports as being a colour commentator. You have your play-by-play guy who calls the action as it unfolds, and you have your colour commentator, the one who kind of adds a bit of context and a bit of animation. And Tony Bellew and Andy Leigh are both quite low-key characters. Yeah. Very, very knowledgeable, fascinating to listen to, great pedigree, both former world champions. But they're not, you wouldn't describe them necessarily as dynamic. Or exciting or animated. I mean, actually, if you sit in front of Tony Bellew at a boxing show, you'd probably describe him as exciting and animated because he's going crazy. But when he's on commentary, and maybe it's the accent, I don't want to be harsh, but it can come across as a bit kind of low key, a bit not bored, but not altogether kind of thrilled either. And the same with Andy Leigh. Andy Leigh's very kind of thoughtful, cerebral kind of guy. So the issue I have there is that there's no one who's going to be the excitable kind of passionate figure there. You know, and I hate to bring him up because I know a lot of people don't like him, but no one's going to be the Johnny Nelson. And Johnny Nelson might lack a bit in terms of his opinions and stuff. Most recently, the James Tennyson one, which was a real shocker, or not a shocker really, because it's Johnny. But you know, but he does love it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure Andy Leigh and Tony Bellew love it. But it's obvious that Johnny Nelson loves it. And I think the commentary team may miss that excitement a little bit. I think so. That's my only criticism. But Bellew, I mean, very knowledgeable, passionate guy, great backstory, obviously name recognition as well, more so than Andy Leigh. Even though you could debate who had the better career, who was the better fighter. Certainly more name recognition for Bellew because he was a pay-per-view attraction late in his career. So Bellew on his own, probably a 7 for me. Yeah,
that's fair enough. I think I'm 90% sure, 95% sure that there's going to be 3 commentators on all the events. I think Eddie's looked at UFC because they have 3, and it's hilarious. The other day I was counting the amount of time because the UFC commentary, they're so out there. They don't hold anything back and they enjoy it. They literally are fans watching at home. They've obviously got the knowledge. I've got Daniel Cormier. They've got John Anik, who's really professional. He's kind of like the Mike Costello, who won't make too many jokes and will focus on the fighting. But then you've got Cormier, who, like, as I was just saying, we counted the other day, there was a fight that happened. I think it was Figueiredo versus Morales. And he literally, they said, oh, like 51 times in round 4 and 5. Like, they just express themselves, and having 3 people there allows you to bring out more of a character. Sorry, it was Moreno, not Morales.
Maybe it allows you could kind of grow into that role.
I think having a personality on comms is huge for the UFC because it honestly makes you feel like a fan's just watching it and talking over it as well.
You look at like Glenn McCrory, Jim Watt from the kind of golden years of Sky Sports Boxing, and they really get emotionally involved in what's going on. And I've seen Bellew get emotionally involved off camera enough times. So if he could kind of bring that to the shows, then
that would be unreal.
He can grow.
Yeah, I think I'm going to match you with a 7 for Tony as we move on to Mike Costello, which is going to be an interesting one. Eddie's massive on him as well. He's obviously been in the industry with BBC for a long, long time.
Yeah, I mean, he knows the sport incredibly well. He's superb commentator. I mean, to be able to commentate on radio and to be able to get investment from an audience who can't see what's going on is an incredibly challenging task. And he does it seemingly effortlessly. Now, I'm sure it's not effortlessly, but it comes across that way. And again, when he does some of his stuff on TalkSport, it's with Steve Bunce, who again is an incredibly passionate, involved character. I don't want to keep harping on about it, but it just shows you need that kind of symmetry, or not even symmetry, that harmony between the two or three commentators. But yeah, Costello, I don't think they could have got anyone better in that role. I think, I highly, highly rate Andy Clark on Sky Sports, that he wasn't about to stop working for them. And then who else is there? Ian Dark, a lot of people like.
Yeah, lots of people like him.
I do like Ian Dark.
But not as the Mike Costello, sorry. Not as the Mike Costello.
I mean, I think Mike Costello in that role is the best in the business. And I think to prize him away from the BBC, where he'd worked almost exclusively, for 15 years, it's a great coup for Matchroom. And I think in context and given what we're rating everyone else, I think I have to give him a 10.
Wow. No, that's
I don't think there's anyone better for that role.
He's unreal. He's the best of the best. I don't know why. I'm a bit of a sucker for. I like Adam Smith's voice. Not necessarily the best commentator around, but he's got that voice that entices.
I think Adam's really underrated as a commentator.
Yeah, a lot of
people don't like him, or they make fun of what he looks like, or his demeanor.
They call him a company man as well.
Yeah, that too. But then he works for the broadcaster, so he's gonna he's not a freelancer, is he? He's invested. Do you know what I mean? But
go on. Yes.
Yeah, no, I think he's very underrated because of those kind of external or peripheral elements. As an actual pure commentator, I don't think he's bad at all. And I was watching what was the fight last week? I watched Inoue. Yeah. And the closing moments just before he stopped his opponent, I thought Adam Smith called those beautifully. So he is very good. But again, he was not going to leave Sky, was he? So
no, he's the best of the best as well. One thing I have sort of to criticize Mike Costello is in his announcement video, he said a lot of people criticize boxing because the best don't fight the best, and this is going to help the best fight the best. Well, if this helps the best fight the best, then why is Fight Camp, Ben Granados, Buatsi's fighting, and Jazza Dickens versus Kid Galahad? Jazza Dickens versus Kid Galahad is an unbelievable fight for hardcore boxing fans. But if you're going to announce game change, announce this lineup, they've done so much work over the last few weeks on trying to make this the next big thing. You've got to make Fight Camp the next big thing. Also, this Fight Camp that's been announced could have been on Sky 3-4 years ago in the last year as well. It could have been on Fight Camp 1. So I don't really understand what he's saying by that. Obviously everyone wants to see the best fight the best, and hopefully that is Eddie's vision. I know it's Eddie's vision because he speaks about it a lot, how he wants to turn it into sort of the UFC or whatever, but that didn't really make sense.
From next week, let's start rating the Fight Camp weeks we did last year.
Let's do it. But Mike Costello, as we all know, he's been at the top level of the sport for a long time, and I think he's got a voice that captures the imagination of an audience and of a fight as well. So I'm going to rate him a 9. I think he's up there as well with the best.
And that leaves us just with Andy Leigh, I believe. I've already kind of made my reservations clear about not having enough of a kind of diverse type of voice on that commentary team. But yeah, really like listening to him in the times I've heard him thus far. I probably prefer Matthew Macklin, if I'm honest. And Barker as well, actually. But really? I think that's just more. Yeah, I think that's just more because I relate to them more. I find them more. I think they're more accessible. I think Andy Leigh's probably more knowledgeable about boxing, more thoughtful, cerebral, but that can sometimes make it a bit harder to access, to understand, to relate to what they're saying.
All right.
And if I find that, a drawback, if you like, I've been working in the industry for God knows over 10 years, then the kind of casual fan base, the man on the street, if you like, Joe Blogs, not Joe Leigh in this case, might find it quite difficult. So there's reservations there. I mean, okay, Bellew, what did I give Bellew? A 7. Yeah, I think it'd be the same for Andy. I think a 7 for me. Really? But I know loads of people watching this love him.
Yeah.
And but then we're a channel in large part for hardcore boxing fans, so it's not a surprise.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give him higher than a 7 because I think he's got no filter, and I think that's really important for what they're going to try and create. Obviously, it's so easy. They can say anything they want, but what are they actually going to do? And the fact that they've got Andy Lee, I think, is a good thing, because he's not necessarily going to be that company man. He's going to say it how he is, as Paulie Manalaji would have said, in fairness, and that would have been a good signing. But
yeah, he would have been great. Yeah,
because I honestly haven't seen anyone ever say anything bad about Paulie Manalaji. I think he's really good at what he does. But back to Andy Lee, for me, I think I'm going to say 8, just because he knows what he's talking about. But I think it's so important to just have someone who's not afraid to just say how it is. I know there's been, in the last year, probably like 6-7 times where Twitter's just exploded because Macklin and Adam Smith have just been so biased towards someone. Even Shannon, Ebony Bridges was like watching back the fight, and I think she tweeted about how biased the commentary was. Now, I know she's the fighter, so she's going to be biased towards herself, but too many times it was happening on Sky. So out of hope, I want to give him a 9, but I'm going to give him an 8 because I haven't seen anything yet. In hope that he gives honest views on every single fight. I don't want to see anyone being a company man, but Andy Lee, I hope's the guy that's going to hold it up and say, no, this is the honest view of the fight. This is how the fight's going. This fighter doesn't need a step up. This fighter is not that good. Just the things you'd expect of someone who isn't just playing to the company, or whatever the phrase is.
yeah. So overall, I'm going to say 7. I think it was probably a little bit better than I expected, but still some issues for me.
Yeah.
But that could grow, obviously, as we need to see how it works in practice. But
Yeah.
first impressions, I'd give the overall lineup a 7.
When there's so many people that are so varied, in order to appeal to so many different audiences, then pretty much everyone is going to dislike one or two of them, as we've shown in this video here. So I think it's hard to give it over an 8, because no one's going to like every single one of them. It's not meant for that. It's meant to appeal to different audiences. It's meant to have the experience of Mike Costello. It's meant to have the hardcores, if you like, of Tony Bellew or Andy Lee. It's meant to grab the casuals with Darren Barker, Chris Lloyd, Maya Jama. And it's also meant to have good presenters in Maya Jama, Laura Woods. So it appeals to a lot of different people, which is a good thing. I don't like every single one, which obviously is not great, but then again, who does? So I think a strong... an 8. It's an 8 for me. It's an 8, yeah. But no higher. Yeah, no higher.
Who's not in the lineup that you would have liked to have seen in the lineup?
Paulie Mananaji. Who else could there be? David Hay, obviously, he's been mentioned. I think he's good. I'm not too bothered about Carl Froch not being in it. I like him, but I think David Hay's really good even as a presenter. I'd like to see David Hay, like the Chisora fights, especially the Usyk one. The pay-per-view sales that he must have got from like the work he was doing, I think would have been great. And I feel like if he works for DAZN on a regular basis, he could actually help drive subscriptions a lot.
Yeah, I'd have liked to have seen Barry Jones, as I'm sure a lot of people out there are
great.
echoing at the moment. You know, him and Costello together would have been really good. Matt Macklin, who I said already, I think he does a great job with Sky. Would have liked to have seen him. Maybe someone fresh and new as well, like a former fighter that we haven't seen before. No one in particular, but just, give people a chance, and I'm sure they will as time goes on.
Sonny Edwards.
Sonny Edwards, very good. Yeah, I think he's tied up with BT, isn't he? He's still an active fighter, but yeah, he's very good. Naz, I would have liked to have seen Naz, given his cameos over the last year or two, and how hilarious they've been.
Yeah.
Who else? Like I said earlier, a female who's already working in boxing, a Lydia
Tasha
and
Jonas.
Drew or someone.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, one of those guys. But yeah, overall, not too bad. No Paul Smith, which is good for me because he's not my biggest fan. No idea why, actually, but he's not. But yeah, so I'm glad he's not one of the lineup. But aside from that, yeah, it's a solid 6. Not Mark, a solid 6 people.
Solid 6 people, yeah. Well, as Danny said, I think we'll probably end up doing previews or reviews of the fight camps now. We've got 3, one on July 31st, August 7th, and August 14th. So hopefully, yeah, that's the next time you'll see us both on Seconds Out doing one of these little back and forth debate kind of videos. And
obviously, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Who was your kind of standout? Who you were delighted to see on the list? Who were you kind of inwardly or outwardly sighing when you saw their name appear? I can guess what most of both of those will be, but let's see. Maybe I'll be wrong. And just how you think it will work. You know, does this give you even more hope that the DAZN can truly cross over and be a major player?
All right. Thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you in the next couple of weeks.